Imagine waking up, going to your kitchen, pouring your morning coffee, and suddenly realizing you possess actual rule-bound magic. Well, today's explainer is diving into the ridiculously suspenseful story of an ordinary guy named Larry. He literally stumbled upon a reality-bending secret tucked away inside the pages of a dusty antique book right in his very own kitchen. We're going to walk through exactly how he uncovered this power, the wild historical mysteries it cracked wide open, and the incredible true-life figures tied to his discovery. So let's just jump right in. You know, the craziest part of this whole mystery is that it begins with literally the most frustratingly mundane problem ever: lost car keys. Larry had been missing his for 2 whole days. You know the drill: retracing steps, violently patting down pockets, just total frustration. So out of sheer desperation and maybe a little bit of weird curiosity about this strange leather-bound book he'd recently picked up at a garage sale, it was called McConnell's Odd Science Curiosities, he scribbles a simple question on a scrap of paper: "Where are my car keys?" He slides the note into the book, right near the spine, honestly not expecting much of anything, and he waits. And what happens next is just sheer impossibility. When Larry opens that book a bit later, his messy handwriting, completely gone, just vanished into thin air. In its place, written on that exact same slip of paper, is this elegant, flowing cursive script. It literally reads, "Under the branches and sawdust on the south side of the old tree stump." I mean, no way, right? Heart-pounding, Larry practically sprints out to his yard, digs through the dirt and sawdust by this familiar old stump, and boom! Right there, exactly where the book told him to look, his lost keys pop right out of the ground. You can just imagine the absolute psychological shock here. Picture Larry sitting at his kitchen table just staring at those keys, his brain desperately trying to find a logical explanation, like, did he just suppress a memory? Did he hide them himself and completely blank on it? But no, he remembered checking that barren stump, and the physical note itself had physically changed. It's this brilliant moment where his entire understanding of reality just sort of fractures. He whispers the word magic. But we're not talking fairy tale magic with, wands and sparkles here. This magic is cold. It's precise. It is utterly without explanation. He realizes, with this wild mix of absolute terror and exhilarating wonder, that he is holding a literal oracle. So here is the absolutely crucial point about how this artifact actually operates. It is not random. Larry quickly figures out that there is a strict, almost scientific methodology to the supernatural tool. Step 1, you write the question on a piece of paper. Step 2, slide that note right near the spine of the book. And Step 3, wait exactly 4 hours. It's honestly like a cosmic postal service, but with very, very strict operating procedures. But hey, if he follows these exact steps, the oracle absolutely delivers. Okay, let's look at how this builds our larger puzzle. You see, Larry actually snagged 2 books from that garage sale. First up, there's Wynn's World Atlas from 1888, which he basically rescued from a free box. And inside that atlas is a heartfelt little note from a guy named Clarence Richards. Then, of course, he's got McConnell's Odd Science Curiosities, our magic oracle from the sale table. But here is the massive catch. The note in the atlas heavily implies that there were originally 3 books in Clarence Richards' personal collection. 2 of them are sitting right there on Larry's kitchen table. So, where in the world is the 3rd, and what kind of insane knowledge does it hold? Now, driven by this fierce excitement that totally eclipses his initial fear, Larry decides he's going to test the oracle's limits. Right at noon, he taps his pen, hypes himself up, and writes down a new multi-part query. Who is the author, and what is the title of the 3rd book? Where is the book located right now? He slides the paper in, shuts the cover, and that 4-hour countdown kicks off. He's literally using the magic to hunt for the missing piece of the collection. Fast forward to 4:15 p.m., and Larry pulls out the note. But, well, it turns out the oracle's a bit tricky. Written in that exact same stylish cursive is just a name: Emma Hardinge Britten, and absolutely nothing else. Zip, zero. By getting this incomplete answer, Larry deduces a huge, vital new rule about his magical artifact. It's only going to answer one single question at a time. It gave him the author's identity, sure, but completely ghosted him on the title and the location of the book. Section 2. The Silver-Tongued Lecturer, Uncovering Emma Hardinge Britten. So Larry hits his laptop to research this totally unfamiliar name, and suddenly we are diving headfirst into the incredible real-life arc of Emma Hardinge Britten. Born in London in 1823, she had a pretty tough childhood and ended up supporting her family as a musician and actress. But her whole life pivots drastically in 1856. Get this. She attends a seance in New York City, fully intending to expose the whole thing as a total scam. But instead, she experiences a profound awakening that actually confirms her own mediumistic gifts. She transforms practically overnight from a hardcore skeptic into one of the most prominent, influential global advocates for the modern spiritualist movement. She ends up traveling the world and even articulating the 7 principles of spiritualism. And this brilliantly illustrates a key piece of historical context that we so often miss. You see, spiritualism in the 19th century wasn't just about people sitting in dark rooms table rapping. It was deeply, deeply intertwined with progressive social reform. Emma Hardinge Britten, who became widely known as the silver-tongued lecturer, used her massive platform as a trance medium to fiercely campaign for the abolition of slavery, advocate for women's rights, and she even championed Abraham Lincoln's 1864 re-election. This movement uniquely gave marginalized groups, and particularly women, a really prominent public voice that they were frequently denied in traditional society. It was a real game changer. So the crucial takeaway for Larry, who's just sitting at his desk absorbing all of this historical data, is that he is hunting for a text written by an absolute historical powerhouse. Armed with his new knowledge, he writes out his next note to narrow things down. What is the title of the 3rd book? He kicks off the next 4-hour waiting window. And it's fascinating, because his initial panic over the magic has now been completely replaced by the structured, methodical routine of his investigation. Right at 9:30 p.m., his kitchen timer dings. Larry opens the book, and yep, there it is, the answer to his query written in that unmistakable cursive. Modern American Spiritualism, 1870. Larry still flinches just a little bit at the sight of the unworldly magic, but he quickly shakes it off and reminds himself to get a grip. This is his new normal now. He has willingly followed the rabbit down the hole, and his trusty oracle has faithfully handed over the next major clue. Section 3. A 20 years record, the Encyclopedia of the Unknown. Larry immediately jumps online to look up this specific title, and he discovers this monumental, uncopyrighted foundational text. Modern American Spiritualism isn't exactly a light beach read, folks. It is an exhaustive, encyclopedic record of the first 20 years of the movement, spanning from 1848 all the way to 1870. It catalogs literally everything from table tilting to trance speaking, and meticulously details the lives of prominent mediums. Britten wrote the whole thing as this impassioned advocacy, compiling countless testimonials to validate the phenomena and vigorously defend the faith against critics, who were constantly leveling charges of fraud. Now, the philosophical core of Britten's book is absolutely fascinating. She didn't actually view these spiritual phenomena as supernaturalism or miracles in the traditional spooky sense that we usually think of. Instead, she argued that spirit communication was actually governed by undiscovered, immutable natural mental laws. She saw it as a progressive science. And honestly, what a brilliant parallel to Larry's own experience right now, right? He is desperately trying to apply a logical, scientific framework, timing, specific variables, controlled questions, to the completely impossible magic happening right there on his kitchen table. As the clock pushes past 10:30 p.m., the sheer weight of the last 48 hours finally starts to catch up with Larry. He's an older guy, totally a creature of habit, and he is feeling thoroughly drained from all the stress and excitement. Yet as he sits down to prepare another note, he's surprisingly comfortable. He smiles, thinking to himself, this is getting easy already. I mean, talk about adaptable. He has accepted the completely impossible and somehow seamlessly integrated a literal reality-bending oracle right into his normal bedtime routine. But of course, he absolutely cannot go to sleep without setting the wheels in motion for the ultimate answer. So he writes out one final, highly specific note. Where is the copy of Modern American Spiritualism that was one of the 3 owned by Clarence Richards now? He slips the paper into the magical pages of McConnell's Odd Science Curiosities, turns off the kitchen lights, crawls into bed, and falls asleep almost instantly. And that, my friends, leaves us with a massive burning question. When that 4-hour timer finally ticks down, where in the world is this oracle going to send Larry tomorrow? Keep questioning the impossible.